Hello, and welcome to the Raw Fork podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Marina Buksov, and I'm a functional medicine pharmacist in New York, as well as an integrative health coach and clinical herbalist. I'm pleased to go into season 3 of this podcast and continue to bring on other holistic minded pharmacists as well as healthcare professionals to the show. I'm constantly inspired by my guests and their stories and love sharing their points of view with you all. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Raw Fork podcast. I am very excited to introduce to you today Dr. Charise Barnes. She is a pharmacy professional, she's an entrepreneur, and she specializes around the topics of food allergies and asthma. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today, Marina.
Yeah, it's a pleasant morning today after somewhat of a rainy weekend. So, tell us where you hail from, where you grew up, kind of your background, and how you got into pharmacy practice.
Awesome. So I grew up in a small rural town in central Georgia, probably about 3.5 hours south of Atlanta. I went to pharmacy school at Mercer University and graduated in 2000. So I've been practicing in different areas of pharmacy, works community, providing NTM services, working with a little pharmacogenomics, and also working in clinical hospital pharmacy. So I've been really enjoying the pharmacy profession. I actually took it a little step further and did a couple certifications in NTM, diabetes, cardiovascular, and also pharmacogenomics. And I also completed a women's entrepreneurial class also at Cornell University. So definitely stepping out of the box of the regular typical pharmacy profession.
Yeah, definitely. That's quite a few steps out of the box, I would say. A lot of beautiful educational opportunities there and certifications. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what exactly propelled you to pursue pharmacy in the first place? What it was like maybe growing up that influenced that choice? Have you ever practiced outside of Georgia or uh, got educated outside? Like you mentioned in Cornell, was that in person or was that online?
So the Cornell University was actually online. It was a great class for women for who want to pursue entrepreneurship. But my um, push into pharmacy actually started from my desire to be a radiologist. So I worked in an independent pharmacy growing up in high school. And I decided that I would go to pharmacy school first and then go into med school. Once I did a rotation with a lot of the medical students, when I was doing one at Grady Hospital, I decided, no, that's not for me. I decided to stick with pharmacy. So that really drove in just by working at an independent pharmacy in my small community, helping people. And I just had that desire and passion to be able to help people more than just talk about medications, also dealing with their different disease states, just trying to help them live a healthier life.
Yeah. So, out of those pharmacy experiences, did you also have to complete those APPEs where you rotated with many different types of experiences?
I did. So in pharmacy school, I actually rotated different areas. I did ambulatory care at Grady Health System, which I did more with diabetes patients at their clinic. I also worked with Atlanta Allergy and Asthma Clinic, in which I actually counsel patients how to use their inhalers. So that's how I really got introduced into food allergies and asthma. And then also did rotations in infectious disease, hospital, home infusion, so different areas of pharmacy. So doing different rotations was very helpful to help with my career choices.
Yeah. So, what did that kind of influence you to do? What was your favorite rotation? And then, how did you incorporate that into your job searching?
I guess my favorite rotation was actually the one at Grady with the diabetes clinic and working with the Atlanta Allergy and Asthma Clinic, actually working with patients hand on, teaching them about their diabetes, how to adjust the insulin, and also in the allergy and asthma clinic, just teaching those new patients how to use inhalers and how to take care of the inhalers. Um, I decided after pharmacy school to actually go into retail pharmacy and also hospital pharmacy. So I did a little of both. So it was awesome to be able to work in both areas of pharmacy because in hospital setting, I did more clinical things for as monitor people antibiotics, monitor their anti-blood thinners, just different things that you do different from the retail setting. So it was great to be able to do different experiences in each area, whether it's hospital or community.
So did you do that at the same time? Like, did you have a part-time schedule in each setting?
Actually, I had a full-time position in retail. It was like 3 10-hour shifts, from 12 to 10. And then I worked part-time in the hospital. So it was a perfect schedule.
Wow, yeah,
So I
it
was able to do both.
sounds pretty busy though.
It was. So I did it for a little while, but I'm currently now full-time in hospital pharmacy. So I've been there for 20 plus years.
Wow. So were you able to build your own family in all that busyness?
I was actually, I did all that business before kids. So once I had my first son, I was actually in retail. Then I transitioned to hospital pharmacy because it was more family friendly. Now I was working 7 to 3:30 one weekend a month. But so it made it easier with family life while working in hospital pharmacy. And that's why, with the love that the things I do in hospital pharmacy, but it was all about the flexibility, the work life balance to have with family while working in a clinical pharmacy profession.
Yeah. So, how did your interest in the allergy sphere grow? Was that also because of some personal experiences around that, or was it just more of an interest in a lot of patients that you saw coming in with allergies?
Actually, it's very personal. I have a shellfish allergy that it happened actually as an adult. I used to eat shellfish all the time, and all of a sudden, for 3 weeks, I ate it every week, like 2 or 3 times, and woke up one morning, my lips were swollen. It
Wow.
was crazy. So I had to make an appointment. It took like several medications, a couple of weeks before they can actually go down. But even more devastating, our son, my younger son, Nicholas, we found out at age 2 that he had a peanut allergy. And it's kind of weird how we found out because he had a history of asthma, seasonal allergies, eczema as a baby. And I had no idea all those things were kind of related. So one night we went out to Texas Roadhouse, just to get something to eat. And I didn't pay any attention about all the peanut shells all over the floor. And 30 minutes within our dinner, he just started vomiting everywhere. So it was crazy. So the next day we made an appointment with a pediatrician. She did blood tests and we found out he was highly allergic to peanuts. And she referred us to an allergist. Well, actually, it was an asthma allergy specialist. And they did skin tests and more tests on him. We found out he's highly allergic to almonds, which is in the class of tree nuts,
Mhm.
and nuts. So our whole world was just devastated because, we had a toddler and you're trying to figure out, will daycare be able to provide meals, snacks? When they have parties at the daycare, will he be able to participate? It was just devastating. Even the older he got too, is just dealing with the whole school, making sure, um, at the parties he had things that he can eat. I would always take off from work to go on field trips to make sure he was safe. Even though the teachers had the EpiPens, and our school was very good about, sending the EpiPens with the kids on the trips or having designated tables at the lunchroom, says nut free, have nut free classrooms. Um, but just as a parent, not really just take the whole pharmacy part out of it. It was just very challenging trying to deal it from day to day. And the hardest part, I think, for him was just dealing with the birthday parties because he would go to birthday parties and sometimes he could eat the cake, sometimes he couldn't. So here I was trying to make cupcakes so we could take to parties for him. And a lot of times he wouldn't even get invited to birthday parties because people didn't want to deal with the whole food allergies. So, same thing with sports, traveling, because you always have to research, what restaurants you can eat, or if you're traveling an airplane, you got to make sure you clean all your area. So it's just became more of a passion of mine to educate people about food allergies, because a lot of people are just not aware about food allergies. And just also making aware to people who have allergies that one, you need a allergy action plan. Two, you need to make sure you have your EpiPens. Three, you need to make sure all those things are in date. So if something does happen or you get some type of cross contamination, you'll be able to know what to do. So that's how I started After Allergies. And we're just going forward, just trying to help people bring awareness. And I'm just trying to help people just live easier with their allergies.
Yeah, yeah, your advocacy work is certainly showing up in your passion as you were speaking. Um, I mean, yeah, I feel like even if people are aware of food allergies, and even as healthcare professionals, as pharmacists, we dispense EpiPens and we are always documenting people's allergies, especially to medications, and making sure everything is on their record. But after that part of the job is done, we don't really think about how people live their day-to-day lives.
Hmm.
So that really, like you were saying, affects every area of life, and you have to pre-plan for every little detail of your day if you're allergic to something, especially
Hmm.
with a severe allergy.
You do, and it's difficult, especially with traveling. I have to do a lot of research before we go anywhere. We went to Chicago last year, so I had to research, brunch places, pizza places, just places that we can eat, or try to find a hotel that's close to places that we were very familiar with. Because a lot of restaurants, their menus change. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, the place you usually go to on a regular basis, you may go back there in a month and the whole menus change. I know, for instance, some restaurants have added shellfish on their menu that may be fried. So now I know I can't get French fries from there.
Yeah.
But it's very fortunate. Some restaurants actually you can speak to the manager or the waiter or the chef, depending on what type of restaurant, and they're willing to accommodate your allergies.
Yeah.
So it's all about communication.
Absolutely. There could be cross contamination. Even if you're ordering one type of meal, they might be
Hmm.
using the same like tools to cook it with, or to just even plate it together or something like that. And you just don't know where they store things. So people who are allergic and not just, maybe sensitive, or maybe just have a dietary preference, those are very
Hmm.
two different things. Somebody could potentially die from being exposed to an allergen,
Exactly.
whereas somebody just, may not be preferable to eat something, but they'll be okay. So those, you have to really talk to your waiters and your food managers and cooks for things like that.
You do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, especially when you go to Disney World and places like that, which I love Disney World because they're very accommodating. They have certain restaurants they put on their park map letting you know these are the things that are allergy free, or these are the locations that be very accommodating for you.
Yeah. Me and my husband and my child also went to Disney World actually right before the pandemic in January,
Hmm.
before like anything was known. And I was really underwhelmed actually with Disney's choices of meals. Like some of them were plant-based, but still most of them were just super processed and like
Hmm.
a junk food type of meal than
Right.
anything healthy. And apple was like $3 or something at their snack store.
It's very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very expensive, and it's especially expensive to eat something more or less healthy. So
Hmm.
that was crazy.
It was crazy. And SeaWorld is good about it too.
Yeah. Yeah, but what you're saying is just like, yeah, I mean, once you think about every little part of your day that you can possibly come into contact with an allergen, it adds up and it can kind of drive you crazy. So, I'm so happy to see that you're doing the advocacy work around that. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you're putting that into practice?
So what I'm doing now is mostly I try to do a little more videos, and I really use my social media platforms to get the information out to people. I recently had a webinar this past weekend, and it was about never leave your EpiPen at home. So it was more of an introduction to food allergies, how to survive every day, how to learn how to look for different products or recipes that's going to be safe for you. Not always doing a lot of processed things, but
Mhm.
maybe having different alternatives that's healthy for you too as well. So we're doing that, and then also hopefully to offer more webinars, and hopefully offer some videos so people will be able to watch, at their leisure, to be able to educate them and educate others about food allergies. So currently you can follow me on Instagram and also the Facebook platform. And I also have some presence on LinkedIn as well for the professionals.
Yeah, I think that's how I found you and your work.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is your, business look like? What you're providing, like a coaching service, or is it just a free educational platform that's accessible to everybody? Like, how is it structured?
So the business is structured to actually more of a consulting basis so that you would get more of a customized approach to your allergies, whether it's seasonal allergies or asthma, just to try to help you. So it's not a one thing fits all for everyone. I try to customize it, and we can just see what your needs are and fit those things towards you. So it's not a set plan, but it's more of a consultation at a reasonable price. And one day, hopefully, my goal is to offer a course to people to make people more aware of the different services that we offer. But
Mhm.
currently, we still in the building process, but we really want to just get the word out there and help people just live easier with their allergies. And hopefully to be able to collaborate with other healthcare professionals and different organizations to bring awareness and also work with those patients who really need that one-on-one consultation that the doctor's office cannot provide for them.
Yeah, that's definitely a big problem that I see a lot of pharmacists on this show talk about, the fact that there is a need for another professional, whether it's a pharmacist or somebody else, a health coach on a team that could spend more
Mhm.
one-on-one time with the patient, consulting about stuff that the doctor just simply doesn't have time to do in the
Right.
time constraints that the doctors are faced with.
Exactly. Since a lot of doctors are doing telehealth appointments now, so patients really don't get that one-on-one time with the doctors as long as they used to. So now it's a quick 15 minutes versus, they used to get at least, 20 or 30 minutes. But after allergies, we can offer that time to sit there and listen to find out how to fix their problem and help to find a solution to make their life easier. And that's our main mission, to bring awareness and just make everybody try to live normal because it is very difficult to deal with food allergies on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
especially when you're traveling, eating out, attending different events, and especially for kids, birthday parties. That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest thing that my kids always complain about. So,
Yeah, and like I was mentioning before, people in general have these kind of questions rise up about what is my kid going to be served at school or at daycare or at birthday parties. And, right now it's a big health trend to try to be more healthy and maybe eat gluten
mhm,
free or less sugar for kids and things like that. But that's, more of a good preference, but then it's not life and death. And then when it's life and death, it's you have to pay, a million times more attention.
and you do because the products change. If you do a lot of processed products or just different products have changed how they are manufactured, and a lot of companies don't display all the information on their products too. So a lot of times you have to do a little bit more research to find out how that product was processed. And what we started doing is actually making our own chocolate chip cookies. We use our organic flour, all our allergy-free ingredients, so we don't do the processed chocolate chip cookies anymore. So we started to find different ways to replace a lot of those processed things, so that he can still enjoy those things, but more nutritious things in his diet.
Yeah, that's great. I always read the food labels on, chocolate bars or food bars, and it always says processed in a facility with tree nuts, peanuts, and other
Mhm.
allergens. So it's like a universal disclaimer that they're not liable for any cross contamination.
Right. And we've been very fortunate that we have been able to find some chocolate bars. Because my son, was only limited to one company, but then I was concerned because that company also processes bars with almonds, and that's one of his highly allergic allergens. So we actually found a company that actually has a dedicated facility that has no tree nuts, no nuts, like I said, no shellfish, fish, eggs, milk, dairy, gluten, and he loves them. They come in different flavors, and he's been very happy. And I think one weekend we actually made chocolate covered pretzels
Nice.
because we never able to actually buy chocolate covered pretzels out of the store, so we was actually able to make some at home. So
Yeah.
we've been trying different recipes, and trying to find more healthier choices too, to try to stay away from all the different processed things. Just
Yeah.
trying to find different solutions.
And it could be a fun family activity to do also, to get your
Oh,
kids
it is.
involved in the cooking.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because he loves to make cupcakes and cakes too as well. He actually made his first cake from scratch with all of his allergy-free ingredients. So he was so proud. And actually it was pretty good.
Nice.
He did.
So who are your ideal customers? Are they the parents of kids with allergies or just anybody that has allergies in their life?
So is anybody who has allergies in their life, or people who may know people who have allergies. So even physicians, like your allergists and immunologists, to build that relationship. So if they can send patients to me to say, hey, we got this new person who just found out they have an allergy, but we don't have time to spend with them to work on about product selections or healthier choices or how to develop a plan when they're traveling or eating out. So I think a lot of just school nurses, principals, teachers, dietitians. So it's a wide range, but just the main niche is just people who have food allergies,
Mhm.
just so they know how to deal with their food allergies. Because it's good to educate everyone else about food allergies, but for the ones who actually have those allergies, you want to make sure they know how to avoid those allergens and how they can still find other options and solutions so they can still have a normal life too as well.
Yeah. So what do you feel like as a, healthcare professional and being an expert in researching this stuff for a while now, what do you think is the link between allergies in general and food allergies and asthma? Is there a link?
I think it may be a link with inflammation in the body. Because if you think about asthma and just regular seasonal allergies and food allergies, it's all about that immune system. When a foreign body, a foreign substance in the body reacts. So I think it does have some type of component to do with inflammation. I'm still researching and learning more about it. So I'm not very that in depth about knowledge about that, but I do feel like inflammation does play a part. And some of those things are all very linked. When a child has eczema, regular seasonal allergies, and asthma, all three of those are kind of linked into your immune system and inflammation. And a lot of time things like that does happen. But I think if you change how you eat more nutritious things, and try to avoid those things that you know that you are allergic to or causes you to be more sensitive to it, then you'll feel a whole lot better, and then you can avoid using, any type of medications to have any problems.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly see a big correlation and rise in these kind of conditions like hyper immune reactions, right? So allergies, asthma, autoimmune conditions, like you mentioned, eczema, all of these are your immune system overreacting to something. And there's just a big spectrum of how that shows up in the
Hmm.
body and what type of inflammatory reactions it triggers.
Right.
So it's just wild that I think there are just more and more cases popping up each year. And I don't know if, in your opinion, it's correlated also with families. Like, you found out you had an allergy and then your son had an allergy. So maybe there's some genetic component, maybe there's environmental components, maybe there's exactly what we're putting into our
Right.
bodies, our food, the processing of our food. So many things have changed from the way we live and our way of life, our way of consuming food in the past, like, you know, half a century or so, like how everything turned from the industrial era into processed stuff, like from, let's say, I think I read a statistic or watched in a documentary, when you eat a McDonald's hamburger, you can potentially be having like 1,000 different cows in there because of how they're all processed in the facilities and then just all put into like one massive. thing that is then divided into patties.
It's amazing because actually both of my kids have asthma and they both have seasonal allergies too. They get allergy shots. So, and then, so all that kind of stuff is kind of connected because I know like when the weather changes, my oldest son, his asthma flares up. Or when certain things are growing in the environment, his seasonal allergies change. And we notice with certain foods too, with my oldest son, it causes him to have problems too, especially like with sugar. He's very sensitive to sugar, so we know he has to limit his amount of sugar. It's kind of hard to tell a 16-year-old, I'm sorry, you can't have candy, milkshakes, and those candy bars, which we kind of limit the candy bars in the house anyway because of our allergies. But it's really hard to tell that teenager you can't have those things. But we found out that sugar does affect his body that way. It kind of inflames him and he starts to have pain. So we learning different things about each child every day. From, we try to do low sugar. We definitely don't have any nuts in the house. So we found a lot of different substitutes and just trying to do more clean eating with different things, eat more fruits and vegetables and trying to do less processed stuff and less eating out. We try to do more meals at home a lot too. So especially with the pandemic, we really don't eat out that much anymore.
Yeah,
So we
you
do a
know,
lot more
yeah,
cooking at home, definitely. So, but you're right. A lot of things have changed. A lot of people, because we always on the go, especially before the pandemic, we did a lot of fast food because of the kids' activities. You constantly, oh, let's just pick this up because it's really fast. But can say that during the whole pandemic, we've been cooking more at home. And I can kind of see a difference in the kids as far as their allergies and how they feel.
yeah,
So definitely, I think a lot of has to do sometimes with the environment, what you eat. Everybody, reacts differently to different things, whether it's food or environment, or even like you said, genetics too, as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. Like even in your family, your kids probably inherited similar genes, but they're activated in different ways and expressed
Hmm.
to show this type of allergy or this type of sensitivity. Not everybody's genes are expressing in the same way.
Right.
So even in the same family, there could be a variety of manifestations, but they could all be connected and be epigenetically kind of modified by the triggers in the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest, he really hates our allergies. He said, I can't have the candy bars, or we can't have shellfish in the house, or I said, well, at least you're not getting fat, but eating all that candy all the time, eating Snicker bars and all that kind of stuff. But we did find like a substitute for peanut butter. So you can still have like a somewhat similar type of sandwich. So that's been very helpful for my oldest. So you can have some type of protein.
Yeah.
But my
Is that
younger son, he won't
sunflower?
even, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sunflower? Is it sunflower or some other substitute? Please share.
It's wild butter. I don't know if you heard that product before.
I think
They
so.
make a creamy and a crunchy type. It's awesome. It tastes, I mean, my younger son has never had peanut butter, but it tastes just like peanut butter. It
And what is it
smells
made
very,
from?
I'm sorry.
What is it made from?
That I'm not sure, but I would definitely get that back, get the information to you.
Yeah, we'll have
I
that
just
in
know we
the
love it though. It may have sunflower, but it's not the regular like sunflower brand. But
Mhm.
I think it is some type of plant based, but it tastes just like peanut butter. It's actually made in a peanut and tree nut free facility too. It's hard to find. You really can't find it at all grocery stores.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of nuts and even peanuts are considered pretty healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're high protein, low fat, and people who are plant-based, they tend to consume a lot of beans and nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you have an allergy, that's very restricting.
It
You can't
is.
have that as a health food.
Yeah, because my oldest son complains all the time because he wants to eat almonds or, peanuts because sometimes he try to eat those type of things, like you said, for protein. And it's a healthy snack. But, those things we just can't have in our house because of our younger son and his allergies. So it does, it affects the whole family sometimes with our allergies and our food choices.
Yeah. And the peanuts are very prone to a certain type of mold, like a fungus that grows on it, which is actually what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are allergic to. So not the
Hmm.
actual peanut, but the way it's stored in different conditions that just feed
Mm-hmm.
that mold. And so I always recommend for people that have peanuts to choose the organic ones because they tend to be more tested, and um,
Mm-hmm.
they usually don't have that problem. But obviously, if somebody's diagnosed with a peanut allergy, you stay away from any type of anything that
I
ever
was about to say we stay
contains
away from
peanut.
all nuts. So I was like, I didn't even know that because we've been staying away from nuts since he was 2 and he's 11 now. He'll be 12. So that's how long we've been staying away from nuts. So we've definitely been avoiding it at all costs because we've been very fortunate. He has never had a reaction besides that one time we went out to eat. So we've been really trying to avoid peanuts and nuts at all costs.
Yeah. I want to bring up another thing that you mentioned, that the weather can also affect the symptoms. So
Hmm.
I also see like a lot of people with headaches or migraines, pressure changes really affect their symptoms. Also, people with arthritis a lot of times will complain like,
Hmm.
the damp weather makes it worse, or, this makes it worse, or maybe just the cold makes it worse, or there's always something that the body is reacting to, in addition to things that we put into the body, just like things that are going on around us and the environment and even the weather. Like somebody's joints start aching at a
When
certain
it's raining.
yeah, when it's raining. So damn.
Hmm.
And so
And
like in Chinese medicine, we always ask about those type of triggers and symptoms because
hmm.
they will indicate a certain type of approach, that if this is the
Oh,
way the body's patterns are showing up, then there's this kind of disbalance going on. And then these are the herbs that are indicated for those types of symptoms.
that's interesting because actually my oldest son, he has headaches sometimes when it's really humid outside sometimes.
Mhm.
So, like you said, the environment, different things do affect them, especially when the weather changes, when it goes hot to cold. Sometimes it flares up their asthma.
Yeah. And in addition to seasonal allergies and pollen, there's also mold, like people
Hmm.
don't know that they have mold growing on in their house if there's damp, dark areas, or in the basement, if somebody's like hanging out in the basement, sometimes that could be a collection of mold growing in places that we don't even see.
Yeah, and just like dust mites too. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't realize that too. A lot of people have allergy. I know for our kids, we use different sheets on their bed. This would be more allergy
Yeah.
prone, and we do like the pillowcases too. And you also have the option of buying a material to cover your mattresses and stuff. And I usually recommend don't do carpet in your house. And
Yep.
so even those little small things, and just keeping your air filters changed, your filters changed in the house and also in your car too, because you'd be amazed those little small little details can make a difference in your seasonal allergies or just any type of allergies or reaction.
Yeah. My sister was allergic to dust mites. And like
Hmm.
they used to tell her that she's allergic to dust. And then apparently they found out actually it's the little mites that live on dust. And that was
Hmm.
just wild. And my mom always thought like she was trying to fake and like sneeze whenever she would like clean or dust,
Uh-huh.
but that was her allergy and it manifested.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's like, how do you get rid of dust? Like you need to be immaculately clean in order
Clean.
to have that trigger gone from your environment. And then like even if you clean your house, the places you go or the cars or vehicles,
Exactly.
like it just is unavoidable.
Yeah, you have to leave your shoes at the door. You can't
Yeah.
track the dirt in and out because my kids play baseball too. So just being outside a lot and all that dust and stuff, I just tell them, come to the garage, leave your stuff. So you won't track it in the house because all those, like you said, environmental factors can also affect your allergies too, as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know that I recommend also neti pots to a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of
we use that
people.
too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because what it does is you basically wash your nasal passageways out with saline water. And so
Mhm.
you irrigate that out, and any kind of particles, if it's pollen for seasonal allergies or like the dust particles settling in there, you pretty much kind of wash it out so they're not sitting on your sinuses and triggering a reaction in your lungs or wherever it is for you.
Yeah, we had to do that too, especially for our oldest son. His allergy is the worst. We did allergy shots for a while and it worked, and we stopped, and then it came back more. So now we just started doing other little things. Make sure we change the filters in the house more of the filters in the vehicles. Reinforcing leaving your shoes and all your dusty stuff outside instead of bringing everything inside. And like you said, also trying to keep those nasal passages clear as much as possible.
Yeah, going to an ENT, your nose throat doctor, is also recommended to kind of get checkups. And so
Hmm.
the lecture I listened to by an ENT,
Hmm.
like a holistic ENT, really stressed the importance of neti pots. And, I think if you just do that for prevention daily, I personally also use it if I'm sick. So I'll do it
Hmm.
twice a day if I'm sick, to just like
Oh.
wash my, my nasal passages out. And I'll just do it once a day for prevention.
Hmm.
Because like I don't really have any allergies, but I often feel like my nose is stuffy a lot.
Hmm.
So that really helps me, like this daily routine. And for my sister, she actually ended up doing the desensitization shots.
Oh yeah, that's what we.
But I believe she either it was recommended for her to wait until she was an adult or it wasn't available. I don't know. But she got them as an adult, and she got, it's a long series, like I think a 6 month commitment or so or
Hmm.
more. And so it really helped her, and she was able to even get a dog.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and things like that. So yeah, pets are a big trigger too. We haven't
Oh
mentioned.
yeah, pets. Oh, definitely. And that's something we don't have as pets, so we don't have to worry about that part. But yes, definitely those shots do work. Because with my oldest son, actually both kids are getting shots right now. But they down to like once a month. It's very time consuming, but it's definitely worth it.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and it really reduces the symptoms. But I do have them drinking, green tea or some type of herbal tea or just something warm. Sometimes if they are stuffy, to kind of open up
Mhm.
those passages too. Um, so that helps too as well, especially if they start to get sick. We do that lemon ginger and green tea
Yeah.
with a little honey, and that really helps.
Yeah, seasonal local honey is actually recommended as like an
Hmm.
allergy treatment or prevention, because you're getting, like, just like the desensitization therapy, you're getting tiny, tiny doses of like the pollen that's, made from the flowers that the bee made. So that way you're kind of introducing it to your immune system slowly and making
Hmm.
sure that it doesn't have an extra inflammatory response and it gets used to it over time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's
so
one of
that's
our favorites.
yeah, now there's like a ton of like essential oils also that you can
Oh
use,
yes.
and to open up things, or like use
Yeah,
topical with a carrier oil.
yeah, we haven't tried that though. I've
Yeah.
just been sticking to the tea and the nasal rinses, and it's been working pretty well for us. And just doing a lot of the external things, the filters and keeping all that dusty baseball stuff out of the house. And when they come in, wash their hands, wash their face, especially if they've been outside for a while, to try to get all that pollen and stuff out of their face and everything too. So,
Yeah. And I think it also, the immune system has so much to do with our gut health. So not only like keeping away from sugar to kind of make sure that no microorganisms are growing, like candida or bacteria, bad bacteria, or your inflammation, not to trigger your inflammation into getting worse, but
hmm.
also like supporting your gut health so that your digestive function, your energy levels, and your immunity are optimal. So like probiotics, I recommend to almost
Hmm.
every patient, because everybody has, something wrong with their microbiome. And
Hmm.
that, the latest research shows that the healthier and more diverse your microbiome, the healthier is your immune system and is able to balance itself out.
Yeah, I've seen that. I haven't had a chance to research that very deeply, but I have been seeing more reports about that too as well. So, is there certain ones that you recommend for younger kids versus adults?
So there's a few brands. I like the Claire Labs. It also depends on what exactly are the symptoms that you're trying to address too.
Hmm.
Certain strains of the probiotics are recommended versus others. So for my son, he actually had like colic as a baby, and the lactobacillus rhamnosus, or actually reuteri, L. reuteri was recommended. So
Oh, okay.
I found a brand that they had just like the baby drops that I would give, one drop a day,
Oh,
and that really helped. My pediatrician wanted to put him on something like an H2RA and an H2 blocker, which is an antacid like ranitidine or something like that. And I never
Hmm.
gave it to him. I just did the probiotics, you know,
Yeah.
and that was it. I just saw amazing results. So I always say, like, do your own research,
Hmm.
look for
Definitely.
alternative things.
Yeah, I plan to research that some more because I'm sure all of that is, like you said, is all related um, with a lot of things that goes on with people's sensitivities and allergies. All that stuff is based on your immune system, just trying to keep it healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also the um, hy- hygienic hypothesis. I think so. The hygiene hypothesis that basically we are overly clean nowadays. You know, we disinfect too much from
Hmm.
childbirth. And so that's why our microbiome is not at its healthiest condition because we just basically don't populate it with the right probiotics because
Hmm.
our soils are depleted from probiotics, so our foods aren't getting it. You know, we're not gardening out back in the back doors and then like picking it with the soil in the roots and then like getting some of that into our cooking. We're buying stuff
Right.
at the grocery store that it's like overly stripped and clean, and then we peel away the peels. So
That
like
is true.
usually the peels are what has remnants of the soil and therefore the probiotics in the soil. But now we no longer populate our gut that way, and then we don't let the kids like crawl around on the floor or in the dirt or like literally play in the
Hmm.
dirt. Well, especially now, obviously Corona, everybody's like going crazy.
Right.
Just thinking
It's extra clean.
now, like it makes sense, but people have been stripping their environment from potentially beneficial organisms too for a long time, even before this outbreak. So it's like our good bacteria that we populate our guts with will protect us from the bad viruses and bacteria out there.
Mm.
So the more we can diversify the good flora, the better
Hmm.
protection we have and the better immune system we have.
Yeah, I grew up eating more. We actually grew our own vegetables. So it was great. Versus, now, like you said, you go to the grocery store and you get everything. But, we used to get the peas, get the beans or the potatoes or whatever type of vegetables. And we would actually cook them from our garden. So it was much different now than it was when I was growing up, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Like now, I think it's more of a symbol of status and wealth when you don't grow your own food and when everything's just easily accessible and you don't you can hire your own cooks and like your own like people to do all the work for you and you don't actually play in the dirt yourself. You don't garden. I feel like there's a wave of people that want to kind of go back to that lifestyle and simplicity and advocate for that. But most of us actually associate like wealth and status with not having to do any of that farming type of stuff or gardening type of stuff, right?
We're totally opposite because actually my son and I wanted to actually do a garden because we wanted to grow our own vegetables and some of our own fruits. So we've been trying to come up with a plan and we haven't worked it out yet, but
I'm also one of those people that want to garden. Right now I don't have the means to because I live in an apartment, but
Mhm.
maybe some like windowsill or balcony gardening I can potentially try to create. But I just
Yes.
I just think it's not the norm. I think people
No, it's not.
yeah who are really concerned about health and you know are educated enough to know that actually this is really healthy for you to eat local and fresh.
Hmm.
I just don't think that information is widely available to people, and we're not educated on the benefits and merits of that. We're actually just trying to like get a good career that gives us lots of money that we could just go and buy everything our heart desires. But actually, I think, the joy and happiness of life also lies in the doing stuff,
Oh, definitely.
not just outsourcing all your pleasures, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's just like how we make our own chocolate chip cookies. Now, we used to depend on
Yeah.
different other brands, but then they started introducing peanut butter in their line so we can no longer eat them. So that's how we started making our own cookies. And actually, my husband made apple fritter bread out of apples and organic with the organic flour and a lot of different seasonings. So, and it was very delicious.
Yeah.
I think I think it only lasted maybe 4 or 5 hours in the house, and it was gone. But it was just that very fresh, the fresh apples and just not using a lot of processed stuff.
Mhm.
So just trying to shift that into our lifestyle has definitely made a difference.
Yeah, that's
At
when
the
it
same
tastes.
time, trying to avoid any type of allergies. So
Yeah, that's when it really tastes the best and has, the most nutritious and most like vital nutrients available when you freshly make it and then you eat it, not when
mhm,
it's like coming to you from another continent, out of season,
right,
and, you don't know how they processed it and what facilities. So
definitely.
it's time consuming, but it's like, I don't know, rewarding in a way.
It is, but it's so good because you get the whole family excited. You get the whole family helping making the different ingredients, and at the end of the process, you get a nice pastry that you actually made yourself, and you know how it's processed,
Yeah.
and it's fresh. And it's safe for your child to eat, so it's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really enjoyed our talk, Dr. Charise. Can we jump into a rapid fire round?
Sure.
What's your number one advice for people to improve their quality of life right now? And if you want, you can make that focused around allergies and other other things like that.
I say right now is take care of yourself. Definitely self care. For your allergies, just starting to move away from the processed products and go more toward more your natural things and start doing like more things at home that you can include the whole family because then that increases your family time that you have to spend time with each other and just those precious memories that you can get during this time that we have, during the whole pandemic. And then also with the allergy, just continue to educate yourself, do research yourself about different things, um, and then come contact me so I can help you come up with a personal plan to help you when you're trying to think of different ways to find a solution to your problem. And also if you need to travel or if you're just trying to figure out how can you make things easier when you go out to eat, if you choose to go out to eat, or just how to make those kind of meals at home too, you know. So I think the number one advice I say is just be happy, be safe, um, try to find us different activities to um, spend more time with your family and call me if you need help to try to get that personalized plan together um, to help make your life easier. And you can reach me on my different social media platforms. On Instagram is After Allergies. Facebook, you can reach me on After Allergies LLC page, or you can come and invite to one of my groups, Allergy Free Adults. You definitely won't be disappointed. You definitely get a chance to get a lot of good information, be a part of a community with other people who are going through the same things that you are. But I'm so thankful to be here today with Marina, having the opportunity to have this discussion about different things we talked about today, not just food allergies. I think we did a lot of different things about food allergies, seasonal allergies, asthma, inflammation, eating healthier, finding different options, and just um, finding someone just like myself to help you come up with a plan to help you live easier with your allergies.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if we specialize in an area of health, we can't get that complete holistic picture unless we address a lot of different moving parts.
Right.
So that's why we ended up touching on so many things. But it's not over yet. I have two tiny more questions for you.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
So the first one is, what's your favorite hobby or pastime?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is painting. I like to do a lot of the virtual painting now, since it's because of the virus and everything. But I like to paint. That's more of my self-care thing.
Oh,
Is
nice.
to
Yeah, I thought
paint.
you were gonna say cooking.
Well, I like to cook too, but painting is really very relaxing.
Yeah,
So I like to do that too, and I do like to cook too.
yeah. I love painting too, or sketching.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, I love it. What's your favorite beverage to drink?
I guess I can say my favorite beverage is water. That's what I drink for the majority of the times. I hardly ever drink anything but water. I might drink sodas every blue moon. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's majority water or hot tea.
Yeah.
In the mornings. I really love my green tea or green ginger tea.
Yeah,
Something
that
that's one of my favorites.
H2O is the best.
Hmm.
All right, awesome. Well, you already mentioned all the ways we can contact you. So, I want to thank you for coming on the show and introducing what you do and making yourself available to anybody who has questions. I will have all the links in the show notes so that people can reach out.
But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Raw Fork podcast, and I truly hope that you enjoyed it and learned something from it. If you did enjoy it, please don't hesitate to leave us a 5-star rating and a short, sweet review so that other listeners can find us across podcast platforms. To get in touch with me, you can go to rawfork.com or email me directly at marina@rawfork.com. Thank you, and I hope to see you back here next week.